Hi everyone, this is Megzaball69 with Take the Red Pill. So far we have gone through 3 videos and we are about to get on the 4th one. And it's been interesting to see the fallacies and generalizations that this theist, Lamont Mapp, has been using. Now, hopefully whoever is watching this can see the inaccuracies with what it is that he is saying. And, you know, if you're a theist or if you're a Christian, hopefully you will look at these things and, you know, do the analyzing yourself. Because too many times, of course, people depend upon who's ever on the pulpit to tell them what to believe that is in the book that they're reading. And that tends to skew things a little bit. So anyway, without further delay, here is the next video.
Alright, the next question is for Jason. And you'll have to pardon me, some of this is a little bit chicken scratch, whoever this is, I apologize. Your handwriting, you must have been very quick with it. I'm just saying. Do you believe in ghosts or paranormal activity? S. Foyer, I don't know his name, said, if God does not exist, everything is permissible. If there is no higher power to whom I have to give an account for my actions, no moral law by which God, good and evil, are distinguished, how can anyone hold any moral ground? Why? Okay, yes. Those are 2 different separate questions. Just so everybody knows, it looks like there is just one number right next to this. I just want to point that out to everybody, make sure everybody knows. Okay, so let's go ahead and ask this question. Do you believe in ghosts or paranormal activity?
Wow, so someone from the audience is asking if they believe in ghost or paranormal activity. Okay, this ought to be interesting.
I love this question because it touches on the very essence of what skepticism and atheism is about. Miracles are a dime a dozen. Whether or not you're in India or whether or not you're here in America, people make claims about the supernatural, about ghosts, about all these different things. You can get them any shape and form. You can get alien abduction claims from eyewitnesses, right? And we all have a responsibility to not accept these types of claims without pursuing incredible evidence. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
You know, Jason is right. Extraordinary claims do require extraordinary evidence. Here is the bad thing about it. Too many people simply just believe without evidence, quote unquote faith, and do not look for the evidence. Let me give a simple example. I'm sure many people have heard of the thing of stigmata, where all of a sudden, you know, they have holes in their hands and blood is piercing down because of what Jesus went through on the crucifixion. But, you know, here's the funny thing about it. When Romans would crucify people, they did not drive the nails right here through your hand. They drove it right there through your wrist. And the way they would make sure that you suffocate is when they hung you, there was a rope tied right here, you know, on your arm, holding you, so that way it wouldn't, you know, your wrist is supported, but also your shoulders supported, but the way your hands are up, you would eventually end up losing consciousness and suffocate because you could not breathe. But yet, in the Bible, it states that he was pierced through his hands, not through his wrist. So, you know, the whole claim of the stigmata happening, that is something that would require further investigation. And also, the fact that it happened supposedly in the Bible that way, to where he got pierced in the hands, that would require further investigation as well.
So I'm not going to believe in any of these types of paranormal claims unless there's extraordinary evidence for it. And the fact is that we do not have it. We have subjective experiences, and we know that humans do often make mistakes. And they hallucinate, they see things that they imagine. We make those types of mistakes all the time. So we have a responsibility to assume these natural explanations first, unless there can be empirical testing shown to verify that there's anything else. So if we define miracles as something that happens once in a million, then every 35 days you're bound by sheer odds to have something miraculous happen to you. Just let the confirmation bias do the rest, and you get the proof. If you have confirmation bias, and that you're going to use those experiences to prove to yourself that you're experiencing God.
30 seconds.
If miracles are evidence against themselves, because they are violating the very laws of nature which we recognize are not supposed to be violated. And so when we look at something like a miraculous claim, we need to apply the same type of logic that we apply to anything else, whether it be confirmation bias, whether it be cognitive dissonance. And there's so many different types of answers.
Jason. Thank you.
If God doesn't exist, everything is permissible, even theism.
Well, here's the thing. Everything is permissible, to include theism. We do not tell people that, I'm not going to say we. Atheists or whomever do not tell people you cannot not believe, or you have to worship this or you have to worship that. Everyone is allowed to believe and do what they want to. Now, of course, things that won't be permissible is, of course, killing somebody for the sake of it. Now, so his statement about without God everything is permissible, not really. The free will as for do what you want to do, yeah, that part is permissible. But to go ahead and commit an atrocity because there's no God, well, that borders on morality, and you don't need a God for morality. All you need is reality.
Belief in the tooth fairy, belief in ghosts, it has to be permissible under atheism. And this is why. Because atheism says that all of our experiences are subjective. That all of us have minds, and all of us have DNA that we work according to, and that reality plays with us. Reality messes with Jason when he falls asleep and has a dream. It does it to me too. Our ears mess with us sometimes, our senses of smell, our senses of sight. Atheism has to accept that.
So there he goes again with what atheism says. Atheism does not say anything but, I just don't believe your claim, therefore I reject the claim that a God exists. That is it. So, this has been going on forever and ever with this guy, Lamont Mapp, with everything he's been saying. He's been using generalization and straw man fallacies just to try to prove his point on things. Let's see what else he has to say. It ought to be interesting.
What theism can do is say, because God has created my brain with understanding reality, because my brain isn't a result of time plus matter plus chance, I can make those distinctions. But according to atheism, imagine a tornado swept through a library, right? And through all the spinning of the paper, made a book. Why would you trust that book to have anything accurate in it? If you open that book, it's going to have tooth fairies, it's going to have ghosts, it's going to have God, it's going to have demons, it's going to have no God. It's going to have whatever your subjective experience tells you. You can't trust it. I don't really have anything more.
Okay, so it seems like he's jumping ahead of himself a little bit, because by stating, God created, the mind. Well, first of all, who said God created anything? Who said there was a God in the first place? That he would have to prove first before he continues on with saying God created or did this. The example with the tornado was just downright ridiculous. That sounds actually more so like Christianity, what he explained. Because if somebody were to actually read the book, the Bible, and you compare it with so many other things like mythology, things in Judaism and other things, one will find that that book is actually a conglomerate of all these other past ideas rolled up into one. And yeah, so why would you trust a book like that? That, has, first of all, why would you trust a book that has so many contradictions and errors in it? And inaccuracies. So I guess he needs to be asking that question to himself and to others who believe the same thing he does before he asks or makes statements like what he did about, the tornado analogy, and, pair that up with atheism. Because again, atheism is just simply the position of, I do not believe. That's it. It doesn't go any further than that. It's not this idea, it's not that idea. It's just simply, I don't believe. This guy, man.
Of course, these experiences mess with our mind. That's why we have to rely upon the empirical method of testing, verification, and predicting. That's why we have to use science, because we can't rely upon. We do dream, we do have hallucinations, and that's why we have to use an empirical method to verify that kind of thing. The best point of the whole night I had right here, and it's gone. It's very second, sorry.
I mean, here's the thing. We do have to have more concrete proof than, oh, the Bible says so, or this is what I believe, or this is what I feel or think, to prove things and say, okay, yes, this is accurate, or this is not accurate. And so, again, that's what faith is all about. Believing in something when you don't have evidence or proof, and it's the excuse people give when they do not have a reason. So, to believe some sky daddy is all powerful, all in control of things, yet allows these atrocities to happen. Is that rational thinking? No, it's not. So again, to believe in stuff like that, where's the proof? Where's the evidence that any such thing exists in the first place? Once that is examined or can be determined, which at present it cannot, then that's when you move forward with more relevant questions. But before then, that has to be established first, which clearly has not been. Anyway, that's it for now for this video. We'll get to video number 5 next. And hopefully you will have a good day. And until next time, this is Megzable69 with Take the Red Pill.